Victor makes $54,000 a year. He's 38 years old. He drives the same Honda Civic he bought used in 2016, and he hasn't taken a vacation that cost more than $800 in 3 years. He will retire with more than $1.1 million. No side hustle that went viral. No inheritance. No lucky stock pick. No job offer that tripled his salary. He's been doing one thing consistently since he was 31, and at the rate he's going, he'll cross the million-dollar line before most of his friends even start getting serious about retirement. The people who quietly hit 7 figures in retirement savings rarely look the part. They're not the loudest ones at the dinner party talking about their portfolio. They're not the ones who post about real estate deals. Most of them are in jobs you'd call ordinary. Teachers, electricians, admin managers, warehouse supervisors earning incomes you'd call normal. What they figured out is not complicated. It's not a strategy that requires a financial advisor or a special account type or timing the market correctly, but it does require understanding 3 things that most retirement content either gets wrong or doesn't bother to explain. That's what this video is. One thing before we get into it. If you came to this video because you're worried about retirement, because you feel behind, because the numbers feel impossible on your income, subscribe right now. We cover this stuff every week, and the next 2 videos in this series go even deeper into the specific numbers that matter at different income levels. You're already watching. Hit subscribe so you don't miss them. In 2023, Vanguard published its How America Saves report. They pulled data from 5 million participant accounts. The median income of retirement account holders who crossed $1 million in savings was $69,800 per household. Not $200,000. Not a dual-income tech household. $69,800. And the ones who got there before age 65, the ones who retired early or retired comfortably, had one thing in common above everything else. They started before 35, not before the market peaked, not after they paid off their student loans, not until they feel stable. Before 35, often before they had any real idea what they were doing. Most retirement advice is built around a much higher income than most Americans have. When a financial influencer says, just max out your 401k every year, they're telling someone at $54,000 to put $23,000 a year into a retirement account. That's 42% of gross income. That advice doesn't just feel unhelpful, it makes people tune out because it sounds like retirement wealth is for someone else. It isn't. The math works on a normal salary, it works on a longer timeline, and it requires doing a few things right that most people do wrong. The quiet millionaires figured this out. Victor figured it out. Here's what they did. Most people trying to save for retirement are doing 2 of the 3 key behaviors and skipping the one that ends up mattering most. I'll show you all 3. But I also need to show you the compounding math first because, without it, the 3rd behavior looks pointless. And the numbers are going to land differently than you think. Let me be straight with you here. Most financial videos turn this into a checklist that sounds good and doesn't help. I want to show you what the research says, not what fills time in a script. Behavior 1. Starting before you feel ready. Fidelity ran a study in 2022 comparing 2 groups of retirement account holders. Group A opened an account before age 32. Group B opened between 40 and 45. Same contribution rates. Same fund choices. Same income levels. Group A had 2.4 times more in their accounts at retirement age. 2 times. From starting earlier, not from being smarter or luckier or earning more. Victor started at 31 with $150 a month. That's not a lot. He knew it wasn't a lot. The first year, his balance went from zero to about $1,900. He felt like he was wasting his time. He kept going. By 35, he had about $14,000 in the account. Still not impressive. Still felt slow. Those early contributions, the ones that felt pointless, will be worth somewhere around $340,000 by the time he hits 67. Just the money he put in before age 35. This is what most people miss about starting early. You're not doing it because the balance looks good right away. You're doing it because those early dollars have more time to compound than any dollar you'll earn later. A dollar invested at 31 has 36 years to grow at 8%. A dollar invested at 51 has 16 years. Same dollar, more than twice the runway. Behavior 2, automating it and removing yourself from the decision. This is less about discipline than most people think. When your retirement contribution comes out of your paycheck before it hits your checking account, your brain adjusts to living on what remains. You don't feel the withdrawal because you never saw the money. Vanguard's participant data shows that people who are auto-enrolled in a 401k or who set automatic annual increases save 32% more over 10 years than people who make manual contribution decisions at the same income levels. That 32% difference isn't from trying harder. It's from removing the decision entirely. Victor set up a 1% automatic increase every January 1st when he was 33. He went from contributing 6% to 14% over 7 years, and he barely noticed each bump. 12 months is a long time. You adjust. The lifestyle creep that was supposed to happen didn't happen because each increase was small enough to absorb. Now here's behavior 3. Behavior 3 is the one that separates the people who actually reach $1 million from the people who did everything else right and still fell short. I'll give it to you right after I show you the compounding math, because the math is what makes behavior 3 make sense. People think compounding is slow. For the first decade, it is. Here's Victor's actual account trajectory at 8% average annual growth, which is below the S&P 500's long-run historical average of around 10.5%. So this is a conservative picture. Age 31, $0. He starts at $225 a month, his $150 plus a 3% employer match on his $54,000 salary. Age 41, approximately $41,000. He's been at this for 10 years. $41,000. Most people see that number and feel demoralized. That's not enough to retire on. At that rate, they think, this plan doesn't work. Some of them stop. But watch what happens after that. Age 47, $109. Age 52, $175. Age 57, $270. Age 62, $413. Age 67, 1,144,700. The account added more than $730,000 in the last 10 years, more than everything that accumulated in the first 26 years combined. This is the shape of compounding. Slow, then violent. The growth doesn't come from the middle years. It comes from the back half, from years of accumulated gains, earning their own gains, earning their own gains. The investors who reach $1 million are not the ones who found some trick in year 15. They're the ones who were patient enough to let the math work. They didn't panic when the account looked small at 41. They didn't raid it when money got tight. They didn't move into something riskier to try to accelerate it. They left it alone. Victor's account at 57 is $270,000. If he puts nothing else in from that point, not another dollar, it still reaches $630,000 by 67 at 8% growth. The back half of the curve does that on its own. If that curve just changed how you see your timeline, or if it made the just be patient advice finally click for the first time, hit the like button right now. It helps other people find this video, and honestly, a lot of people need to see this math laid out plainly. Hit like. There's one mistake that can cut this entire projection by more than half. Not a market crash. Not a bad investment choice. A mistake that 1 in 3 Americans makes, and one that feels like a reasonable decision when you're in the middle of it. In 2022, Fidelity reported that 1 in 3 Americans who left a job cashed out their 401k balance instead of rolling it into a new account or an IRA. 1 in 3. Here's what that actually costs. Say Victor is 40. His account has $60,000. He loses his job. He's been out of work for 5 months. Money gets tight. He decides to cash out the 401k to cover the gap. First, the IRS takes 10% as an early withdrawal penalty. That's $6,000 gone immediately. Then the distribution counts as ordinary income at Victor's bracket, and he owes roughly 22% federal plus state taxes. By the time the check clears, he's taken home maybe $40,000 of the original $60,000. He lost $20,000 on day one. But that's not the real loss. That $60,000 left in the account, untouched, would have compounded to roughly $315,000 by the time he's 67. He didn't lose $60,000. He gave up $315,000 in future money to take home $40,000 today. For $40,000 in hand, he traded $250,000 in retirement. And Fidelity says 1 in 3 people do this when they change jobs. Not irresponsible people. Not people who don't care about retirement. People are trying to survive a hard stretch with no other options, or people who didn't understand how expensive that decision was before they made it. This is why the strategy has to include an emergency fund, not as an optional extra, not as something to build once things settle down. The emergency fund is what makes the retirement account untouchable. Without it, you're one bad stretch away from cashing out everything you built. Victor was laid off at 40. He had $11,000 in a high-yield savings account, about 5 months of essential expenses. He used $6,000 of it over 4 months while he looked for a new job. He didn't touch the retirement account. It kept compounding through the whole thing. He's at $270,000 now at 52, on track for $1.1 million. If he'd cashed out at 40, he'd have maybe $180,000 in savings by 52, and the compounding clock restarted 12 years late. The decision not to withdraw cost him nothing. The decision to withdraw would have cost him everything. So we've covered the 3 behaviors, the compounding math, and the mistake that wipes out more retirement wealth than any market event. What I want to give you now is the step-by-step version of this strategy, built for a normal salary, starting this week, not someday when the income is better. If you're not subscribed yet, pause and do it now. Everything we've covered so far is the foundation. The next section is the practical piece, specific steps, specific numbers, specific moves, and I don't want you to miss the follow-up videos where we go deeper into each one. Subscribe, then keep watching. This is built around someone earning $40,000 to $80,000 a year. If you earn more, the numbers are bigger, but the approach is the same. If you earn less, I'll cover those adjustments in a future video. But this range is where most American households land, and it's where most retirement advice stops making sense for people. Step 1. Capture the full employer match, starting now. If your employer offers a 401k match, contribute at least enough to get all of it. A 50% match on up to 6% of your salary is a guaranteed 50% return in 12 months. No investment on earth gives you that. Not capturing the full match is the most expensive mistake you can make before we even get to anything else. At $54,000 with a 3% employer match, contributing 6% means $270 a month from you and $135 from your employer. $405 total is going into the account every month. Victor started at $150 and got to $405 by 33. Start wherever you are. Step 2. Put it in a target date fund and leave it there. A 2045 or 2050 target date fund automatically adjusts your asset allocation as you age. When you're 32, it's mostly aggressive stocks. When you're 58, it moves toward bonds and stability. It rebalances itself. You don't touch it. Vanguard's 2045 target date fund has averaged 9.2% annually since its inception. Fidelity's version is at 9.4%. These numbers aren't exciting. They are exactly what you need. Nobody builds $1 million retirement account on exciting numbers. They build it on consistent, unspectacular returns held for a long time. Pick the fund closest to the year you turn 65. Put everything in it. Don't move it because the market dropped or because someone at work has a tip. Step 3. Build the emergency fund before you increase contributions above the match. This is the step that protects everything else. 3 to 5 months of essential expenses in a high-yield savings account. At a $54,000 income with typical costs, that's $10,000 to $14,000. Right now, you can get 4.5 to 5% APY in an FDIC-insured online savings account. That money earns real interest while it sits there waiting to save you from cashing out your 401k. Build this before you push retirement contributions above the match. It takes a year or two at moderate savings rates. That's fine. The retirement account keeps compounding the whole time. Once the emergency fund is built, the retirement account is structurally protected from the most common threat it faces. Step 4. Split every raise 50/50ths between lifestyle and retirement. Every time your income goes up a raise, a bonus, or a promotion, send half to retirement. Victor got a $4,000 raise at 35. He increased his contribution by $167 a month and kept the rest for himself. His take-home went up, and he never felt deprived. At 38, another raise. Same thing. By 42, his contribution rate had gone from 6% to 14% without any single step feeling like a sacrifice. Lifestyle inflation is invisible when it happens. A raise comes in, expenses expand to fill it, and 3 months later, you don't know where the money went. But if half the raise goes to retirement before you adjust your budget, you only have half the raise to inflate your lifestyle with. You adjust to that amount instead. Victor never had a month where he earned more and kept less than before. He always took home more. He also sent more to retirement every time. That's the whole trick. Step 5. Don't touch it. The market crashed in 2020. Victor's account dropped from $134,000 to $88,000 in 6 weeks. He changed nothing. Didn't move to cash. Didn't pause contributions. Didn't panic. By July 2020, his account was at $145,000 higher than before the crash. By the end of 2021, it was past $200,000. The investors who moved to cash in March 2020 locked in losses of 30 to 40%. They had to wait for recovery, rebuy at higher prices, and missed one of the fastest rebounds in market history. Victor made $66,000 in 3 months by doing absolutely nothing. The market will drop again. It always does. Your job during that stretch is to keep your hands away from the account and let the back half of the curve do what it does. Before you close this video, do one thing. Pull up whatever retirement account you have. Look at your contribution rate. If you're below the employer match, change it this week. If you're at the match, schedule a 1% automatic increase for January 1st. If you have no account, go to your HR system today and enroll. Not next month, not when the raise comes, today. The difference between Victor and the person who never quite gets there isn't income, isn't intelligence, and isn't luck. It's the gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it on a Tuesday afternoon when nothing special is happening. The math is on your side. The timeline is long enough. The only thing that closes the gap is starting. Tell me in the comments, what age did you open your first retirement account? Or if you haven't started yet, what's actually stopping you? Not the polished answer. The real one. I read all of them, and the honest ones are what shape the videos I make next. Subscribe before you leave. The next video in this series covers a 401k mistake that's quietly destroying retirement accounts in a high-interest rate environment. It's a mistake that feels like the right call when you're making it. Most people don't find out it was wrong until it's too late to fix anything. If that video doesn't show up in your feed, you won't even know to look for it. Subscribe. See you in the next one.